Damn does it feel good to be back. The past few months have been quiet, mind you. The second season of the minor league happened, and it was a blast to be a part of that. Not to mention the first CPU Mario Sports Mix League happened. There was enough to keep ball knowers engaged, is what I'm saying. But we finally returned to the main event. 8 teams, 12 games, 6 weeks of chaos. And chaos is the name of the game when it comes to the ASA. Look no further than the lead up to the draft, which was... Yeah, there's no sugarcoating it, everyone collectively lost their minds. On to the draft! Talk about one hell of a post-championship hangover. Not only do you whiff on retentions, but you also decide to trade away Birdo for the 3rd overall pick. Now initially, I was baffled by this move. You want to give away one of your best players to a team that can make heavy use of the Birdo-PD chemistry in exchange for possibly that level of return with a top 3 pick? Later, one of Y-Guy's coaches explained the rationale for the decision, and while I'm still skeptical of the move, it doesn't seem completely brain-dead. The gist of Y-Guy's draft strategy was as follows. Front-load good players in the first 2 rounds, prevent other teams from getting broken rosters, and pick up scraps in the later rounds to fill out the team. And the term scraps is putting it lightly. You know the situation is dire when you have to preemptively pick Tiny Kong in round 2 because you're going to be Yoshi Claus into drafting one of 2 terrible captains. I should also mention that Tiny Kong was the last pick Y-Guy had until round 6, and Y-Guy was forced to use his first pick of that round on Peach due to the aforementioned Yoshi Claus. So what we have is a throwback to the Season 1 Monarchs, and I'm not saying that just because Peach is the face of the team again. I'm saying it because I doubt this team's making it to Sundown. To be fair, this team looks a lot better than the Monarchs of the past. I mean, you're not running Green Guy and an Orange Me on a team with no Orange Chem for starters. No, you're not making Sundown because everyone else's teams are that much stronger. You still have Boomer and 2 Bones, but ever since Boney Stark had his kneecaps broken at the end of Season 4, the Bro is your only real powerhouse. And quite frankly, I wouldn't bet on Potential Man living up to his namesake.
Seems that deal with the devil didn't work out too well, eh, Spectro? A failed all-in push demands sacrifice, and the price for reclaiming even a semblance of draft stock is Red Critter. Spectro did make good use of his first 3 picks, but after that, everything went completely off the rails. You traded up for Goomba. Nobody was sniping him from you. He does nothing on this team. He still would have been available in round 4. Who would have taken him? Fucking AJ? You were already struggling with draft capital, and you ended up with even fewer picks than you started with. And after all of that, you decide to split Baby Luigi and Yellow Guy for the sole purpose of making yourself public enemy number 1? You do know if you want to keep being the heel of this league, you need to be competent, right? Put simply, the draft did not go well for Spectro. The best way I could describe the Season 5 rookies is a massive salvage operation where the team is trying to do more with less. Less hitting power, less defensive capabilities, less pitching depth, less everything. However, I'm not placing them at the bottom of the league because of one incredibly biased reason. Minor League Season 2 Me of the Year. My GOAT! Madeline is on the rookies. In fact, the Derek J. Spitballs Blue Meat Core lives on, without any of the big hitters that were the lifeblood of that team. I would say you're going to need some devil magic if you want to make it back to Sundown, but I'm guessing another deal with the devil is the last thing you want right now. Showtime! You were given 16 fucking picks, and this team still looks mid! I get it. Star Bowser is Star Bowser. He's a monster both batting and pitching that can single-handedly will a team back from the brink of defeat. But crucially, he needs support if the monsters actually want to win games this season. Reliable slap hitters, an extra power hitter, bullshit item shenanigans, fucking anything over what we have here. This roster looks the exact same as last season's, except Waluigi's been swapped out for Wiggler, a Bone's color was changed, and Red Match is here from day 1. To be fair, this is still an improvement. Wiggler is objectively an upgrade over Waluigi. Red Koopa's been hitting the weight room, so maybe he won't be as much of a rally killer. I've seen Red Paratroopa hit a grand slam with my own 2 eyes. The support hitters look like they'll do better. Red Magikoopa and Red Yoshi look like they'll do better. Everything looks better, but it doesn't feel better. I know I'm completely out of my depth with this next tape, but AJ should have taken more risks, man. Go full chaos and draft Wario as the 4th overall pick. Do something. Anything that isn't just running the same script as last time with a few tweaks and hoping things get better. Because all I see is a 1-11 squad running it back in a league that's even more stacked. Clearly relying on PD to solve all the team's problems last season didn't pan out. So how did the Eggs rectify this problem? By constructing a roster that relies on PD and Birdo to solve all the team's problems. Reminiscent of last season's cutthroat draft dealings, DZ was able to exploit Y-Guy's precarious draft situation to land an exceptional pitcher, hitter, fielder, and chemistry piece in Birdo. That alone should give Eggs fans hope this season. On top of that, I really like the direction of the Eggs defense. PD and Birdo on shortstop and second base feels unfair, and the pitching lineup of Yellow Mage, Yoshi, and Birdo is quite good. And for the hidden core, PD Piranha is still PD Piranha. Although X fans should be praying that PD Season 4 slump doesn't carry over to Season 5, because if it does, they're going to be in for a lot of pain. However, this team still has problems, and they all come down to the supporting cast on offense. I'm still not sold on Power Class Grey Guy. The triple Line Me unit is very untested, and it remains to be seen if they're worth breaking out the margaritas. And I'm gonna be real with you, DZ, you should not have been popping off over picking Baby DK. He was fucking atrocious on the flowers in Season 4, and the fact that he has chemistry with Yoshi will not change the fact that he's going to suck this season too. Overall, I'm expecting the Eggs to make it to Sundown. However, I thought the Eggs would make it there last season and they finished 1-11, so who the fuck knows whether they're going to be decent or not.
Gay ass motherfucker.
After yet another postseason collapse, Corbin decided the best course of action was to tell Mario to fuck off and burn down any remnants of the fireballs. At least that's my explanation for why Corbin flipped 2 of his Piantas before draft night. The 6 or 7 functioning neurons in the Muscles front office were trying their hardest not to build yet another Fireballs team. And yet, with that single-digit neuron count, the Muscles somehow put together a top 4 team. It's pretty hard to screw up a draft that starts with Wario and already has Yellow Pianta and Red Critter on the roster, although the Muscles certainly did try. They blue-screened on an obvious second-round pick, tried to trade up with a team that didn't even have a second-round pick, and were only saved by Cyber reminding them about Wario's purple chemistry. Newsflash, he didn't do it out of the goodness of his heart. He did it so he could screw over everyone else. The Knight's core was already complete by that point, a core that was made even stronger, mind you, by one of the Muscles' preseason trades. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Back to what I said earlier, top 4 team. I originally had them not even making Sundown, but the more I looked at the Muscles roster, the more I realized that Corbin was kinda cooking here. Ritter and Wario are excellent power hitters. YP and Purple Toad are great slappers to set up said power hitters. And the buffs to Red Noki should make her halfway decent. Just don't let games be shootouts or slogs. This team only has about 2 pitchers worth of gas before the infield collapses.
Chicken PC!
I am so glad the Flowers were able to blossom into something new after the fire sale burnt down whatever was left of this team last season. We got the King of Line Drives as the first overall pick. KB and Empty have come to bolster our pitching depth so we never have to see Whammer on the mound again. We have a new yellow-white color scheme. We're making use of Daisy's yellow chemistry. In fact, I've heard good things from the batting coaches regarding Daisy. She's actually going to use her Star Swing. It's not going to be like Season 3 where she uses it twice at the start of the season, never again. This team doesn't look like complete garbage. Hallelujah. Is this hope I'm feeling? I thought I wasn't allowed to feel hope after the failed comeback against the Wilds last season. Oh, but the draft was rigged. How could a 50% chance it? Fucking cry about it! King Boo is going to take this team to the promised land, and there's nothing you can do about it. Woo!
You want to talk about draft rigging? Look no further than the Wild's second round. Deuce, despite being a commissioner, arranged for draft night to be on a day when none of his coaches were available. He was given multiple time extensions, couldn't communicate with his staff, and still got a mulligan to take Red Toad over Diddy Kong. He ended up being on the roster anyway, so the mulligan didn't even fucking matter. The only reason why I sound so pissed off about this is because Deuce's team looks like an absolute juggernaut. There are 3 planned captain pitchers on this team, meaning that the pitching depth problem that screwed over the Wilds in the play-in game is completely gone. There are also 3 strong power hitters on this team, with DK himself being a big 4-hitter. On top of that, the Wilds have impressive support pieces in Mario, Red Pianta, and Red Toad, and RP in particular functions as both a power hitter and a slapper. To round things off, the defense is still suffocating, made even more so by a new Britter RP middle infield. If anyone is hoping to get through this wall of a Wilds unit, they're going to need to make miracles happen. Although, I can certainly think of one team capable of doing just that.
I can't stop winning!
If you thought Cyber's wild ride ended last season, you clearly haven't been paying attention. Much of the pre-draft chaos was caused by Cyber trading picks nonstop and in turn making the draft order a confusing clusterfuck that I won't even bother trying to summarize. Despite this, Cyber's actual draft is pretty straightforward. It's the same squad as last time, only now Red Toad has been swapped out for Blue Pianta. Considering how this is the same championship roster but better, Cyber is the clear favorite heading into Season 5. However, I remember saying the exact same thing about the Bows last season, and they weren't able to defend their title. But there is one thing Cyber has that might push him over the hump to another ring. Pure, unfettered luck. Worried about K-Rool falling asleep at the wheel? Just high roll. Concerned about Slappers not getting on base? Just high roll. Afraid that your monumental arrogance and trolling during the draft will come back to haunt you? The pain of the daycare is your permanent karma shield. Lady Luck smiles upon the Cyber Knights, and we are all forced to endure whatever this may bring.
With all the rosters established, it's time for me to give my preseason power rankings, or rather, reveal that I've already given them. The order of the teams in this video is my rankings from worst to best, although I do want to clarify a few things. The way I see it, there are 3 tiers of team right now. The top tier, the mid tier, and the Dregs. Despite my delusional optimism towards the Flowers this season, I still recognize that the Wilds and Knights are better constructed teams. They have big four hitters, they have better pitching depth, they have better role players, and they're all around just better. However, I think the Flowers are well-rounded enough that they convincingly stand above the teams in the mid-tier. As for the top two, I'm giving the edge to the Knights mainly due to recency bias. K-Rool and Blitter did win the Major League and the Minor League, and the addition of BP to the roster should be enough to push the needle in favor of the Knights. Plus, from what I've observed, K-Rool doesn't low-roll nearly as often as DK or Funky do. For the mid-tier, I consider the Eggs and Muscles to be on roughly equal footing. The Eggs are slightly better defensively with better pitching depth, while the Muscles are slightly better offensively with better role players. Honestly, you could flip the order of these two teams in the rankings and I wouldn't object to it. I'm placing the Muscles slightly higher because I prefer offense over defense. The Monsters sit at the bottom of mid-tier because their team is pray that Bowers can carry, but better. Given how last season went, I don't think God will be answering those prayers. As for the Dregs, their order was based mainly on vibes and narratives. The order within this tier is irrelevant since I'm not expecting either of these teams to see Sundown, but I still felt compelled to put the rookies over the Monarchs. Yes, 2 Bones are a better slapping unit than 3 Me's. And yes, I mentioned earlier that I prefer offense over defense, so the slightly better pitching unit of Blue Me, Bowser Jr., Blue Madge, of the unit of Boo and Peach shouldn't push the rookies ahead of the Monarchs. However, the Peach slander agenda must be maintained, and that requires the Monarchs to finish last. Regardless of who you're rooting for, I think we can all agree that—
The fuck do you mean the Flowers are already 0-2?